Reflections, Chapter 2, Lesson 5, The Arctic. What to know? How did the geography and climate of the Arctic affect the American Indians there? Describe how the Aleut and the Inuit adapted to their environment. Analyze the customs and ways of the people of the Arctic. Kayak, igloo, Aleut, Inuit, Aleutian Islands. Let's start by doing the closer look. In Inuit family, the Inuit people learned the skills they needed to survive in their icy land. Igloos were made with blocks of ice that were cut with a long bone knife. Sharpened bone tools were used to remove the skin from fish. Bow drills were used to make holes or to cut through animal bones. Why do you think tools were so highly valued? You are there. You watch as your father begins to put together your home. Not a home built of wood or stone, but one made entirely of ice. Your father cuts large blocks of ice from the ground and begins stacking them up. He shapes the blocks to fit them together snugly, without gaps between them. After just a few hours, your home is complete, and you and your family enter. Your mother spreads a bearskin on the floor, and everyone gathers on it. You'll be warm tonight while cold winds blow all around your home of ice. A cold land. Let's set up our Cornell notes. A cold land. How was life different for the Arctic people than for people living farther south? A cold land. Let's read. The Arctic region near the North Pole has one of Earth's harshest climates. Because the region is so far north, the sun stays below the horizon for much of the winter, and it does not set for much of the summer. The land is mostly a flat and treeless plain of frozen ground. Summer temperatures seldom get warmer than 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and winter temperatures usually average -25 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists think that the peoples of the Arctic region of the Americas arrived there after other peoples had moved farther south in the Americas. They believe that no one lived in the Arctic until 5,000 to 3,000 years ago. Some of these Arctic peoples became known as the Aleut, because they built their homes along the coast of the Aleutian Islands. This chain of about 100 islands starts near what is now Alaska's southwestern tip and extends about 1,200 miles into the Pacific Ocean. The name Alaska comes from an Aleut word meaning mainland. Early Arctic people closely related to the Aleut were the Inuit. I say Inuit. Who lived in what is now Alaska and northern Canada. since the Arctic region was too cold for farming. The Inuit had to hunt and gather their food and make their clothing and tools from the animals they hunted. Arctic ways of life. To survive in the harsh environment, the Aleut and the Inuit developed their skills as hunters and fishers. With bows and arrows, they hunted such animals as Arctic foxes, snowshoe hares, caribou, and polar bears. They also used harpoons and kayaks to hunt seals, walruses, and whales. A kayak is a one-person canoe made of waterproof skins, originally, right, stretched over wood or bone. Nothing in this cold, hard land was wasted. For example, the people caught seals not only for their meat but also for their skins, which were made into clothes and tents. Oil made from seal blubber, or fat, was used to light and heat houses. People also chewed the seal blubber to prevent hunger. Even the skeletons of animals were used, as people carved tools from the bones and tusks. The Aleut lived together in large houses with beams made from whale bones and walls made of sod. Remember, sod is grass and the roots of the grass. It was customary for the Aleut to display their wealth. They did so through possessions such as shells and baskets. The Inuit lived in different kinds of shelters. Some Inuit built igloos, homes made of ice in which they lived during the winter months. A hole in the top of the igloo allowed smoke from cooking fires to escape. During the summer, the Inuit lived in tents made from animal skins. Other Inuit lived in tents or sod houses year-round. Inuit groups were usually loosely formed bands of about 60 to 300 people, with several families. The people hunted and traveled together, often sharing seal meat to survive. Like all Arctic people, the Inuit learned to make the most of the limited resources they had. It says many present-day Inuit live in the same areas as their ancestors. The Inuit believed a person's name has the power to protect the person from harm. As a result, Inuit people often have many names, which are thought to act as guardian spirits. The Inuit believe that all things have a spirit and that a person's spirit is the source of his or her strength. Inuit names often come from words used to describe the environment, animals, or birds. So how did the shelters of the Aleut differ from those of the Inuit? This ivory carving of two seals was used to fasten a belt. An Inuit carver above continues his work. In summary, the cultures of Aleut and the Inuit were shaped by the harsh environment in which they lived. They adapted to their difficult surroundings, and the members of each community worked together to survive. Questions to review and for discussion.